Sarah gazed out the window at the spring rain falling softly outside. She loved the fresh scent it brought and the way it made the world seem new again. Her favorite part, though, was watching the puddles form, little mirrors that briefly reflected the world before rippling away. A movement in her peripheral vision caught her eye. She looked down at her hands resting in her lap and gasped. A brilliant blue butterfly was walking slowly across her fingers, its delicate legs tickling her skin. Sarah held her breath, afraid any movement would scare it away. As if sensing her fear, the butterfly stopped and seemed to look up at her with its multifaceted eyes. Despite its fragile appearance, Sarah was filled with a warmth and comfort she hadn't felt in a long time. This was no ordinary butterfly. "Hello, little one," she whispered. "Aren't you a surprise?" The butterfly gently flapped its wings once in response before walking over to her palm and closing its wings with a flourish, as if taking a seat. Sarah couldn't stop the tears that came then. She knew this was no coincidence. "Oh, Nell," she said in a voice thick with emotion, using the nickname only a mother could love. "Is it really you, baby?" The butterfly pulsed its wings open and closed again. Sarah's tears flowed harder as a profound aching filled her heart. She brought her hand up and tenderly kissed the butterfly. "My brave, beautiful girl, I've missed you so much." As if understanding, the butterfly stretched its wings out fully in an almost embracing gesture. Sarah felt her loneliness and grief begin to dissipate like the rain puddles in the morning sun. "Does this mean you're okay?" Sarah asked hopefully. "You're at peace." The butterfly seemed to nod by bobbing its body up and down. Sarah let out a sound that was halfway between a laugh and a relieved sob. She had been tormented for so long, wondering if her little girl was suffering wherever her soul now resided. Fighting back the urge to hug the fragile creature, Sarah settled for lightly running her index finger along its back. The butterfly shivered in what seemed like pleasure at the contact. "I have so much to tell you," Sarah said in a conspiratorial whisper, as if they were sharing secrets like they used to. "So much has happened since you've been gone." And so Sarah spent the next hour murmuring everything she had longed to say to her daughter. She told her about Dad, and how he seemed to be coping with the help of his practice and golf outings. How he tried to put on a brave face, but Sarah could see the piece of him that would never heal. She told her about Mom, who had moved in for a while after the funeral to take care of them both, and who seemed just as lost without her little Puddin as they were. Sarah smiled at that, remembering how Nell would scrunch up her nose at the admittedly silly nickname but secretly loved it. She talked about the rest of the family, about her cousins who continued to bake her favorite cookies and bring them over Lou to keep her spirit alive, yo as they said through fresh tears each time. About the kind neighbors who still kept a quiet memorial of sorts by maintaining a small plot of ladislippers each spring, Nell's favorite flower. Mostly, though, Sarah talked about Nell herself and the beautiful, if too short, life she had lived. She laughed through her tears as she described the time Nell had gone through her naked phase as a toddler, and they couldn't get her to keep clothes on. How she once found her streaking through the backyard while Dad, in his ever-patient way, reasoned with her that people didn't go outside without sundresses or rompers. Sarah told her about Nell's first day of kindergarten, and how she had clung to Sarah's leg, terrified, until a little boy offered her a strawberry lollipop from his own first-day package. Nell released Sarah instantly and followed the boy to his seat without a backwards glance. She reminisced about Nell's childhood adventures in the backyard, collecting rocks and feathers and wildflowers that quickly became unrecognizable messes carried around in little purses, plastic containers, or the pockets of her little corduroy jumpers. Sarah paused and wiped away a tear as she remembered Nell's first dance recital and the way she glowed on the stage. How she nailed the routine they'd practiced for weeks and the pride they felt as she took her bow, her little chest puffed out and beaming from ear to ear. The memories kept coming, a waterfall of beautiful moments too quickly lived but forever cherished. The butterfly pupated and fanned its wings, seeming to commit each story to memory. Sarah's voice became thick with emotion as she reached the final, most difficult chapters. How a long series of childhood illnesses culminated in a devastating diagnosis, SLE, the rare and aggressive childhood version of lupus. how they had fought it with everything they had, with experimental treatments, with positive mantras, with every ounce of love and hope they could muster, all while Nell grew sicker and more tired with each passing day. "I'll never forget your smile through it all," Sarah said, her voice catching as fresh tears fell. "Even in your darkest moments, when the chemo made you so weak and sick, you still had that incredible spirit and zest for life. You were so unbelievably brave, Nell." The butterfly opened and closed its wings slowly, its movements seeming heavy, weighted by the grief in Sarah's voice. It crawled forward an inch and nuzzled its head into Sarah's thumb in a gesture of comfort. Sarah gave a watery smile and took a shuddering breath. "The doctors wanted to keep fighting, to try more treatments. But you were the one who finally told them no, that you were done. You shouldn't have had to make that choice, baby. No 9-year-old should." The butterfly stilled, listening intently as Sarah continued. "You looked up at me with those big, still bright eyes and you told me, 'It's okay, Mama. I'm not scared.' I held you and we cried, but you kept rubbing those little circles on my back like only you could do to make me feel better." Sarah stopped to collect herself and the butterfly inched forward, wrapping its delicate legs around Sarah's thumb in an approximation of a hug. "Those were the bravest words I've ever heard," Sarah finally whispered. "I keep replaying them over and over, both as a blessing that you weren't afraid, and a curse that you had grown up so fast you were somehow able to accept your fate with more dignity than I ever could. They told me I should say goodbye, but I just couldn't let you go. I wanted you to fight, to live, even though I knew it was selfish of me to want you to keep suffering just so I could hold on to you longer." The butterfly stilled and seemed to listen with rapt attention. "But you were the strong one in the end. You took my hand, smiled that beautiful smile, and told me, 'Don't be sad, Mama. We'll still dance together on the other side.'" Hot tears streamed down Sarah's face at the memory. The butterfly raised its wings in a gentle wave, as if to dry them. "Those were your last words to me. You hugged my hand to your little cheek and then you were gone." Sarah's body shook with suppressed sobs. "My sweet angel flew away to dance among the stars." The butterfly walked forward and raised itself up, stretching its wings high overhead. Sarah hiccuped a watery laugh at the elegant, dancer-like movements. "Yes, baby, just like that." They sat in reverent silence, Sarah memorizing the image of the butterfly just in case this was their last meeting and the creature was called back to its celestial dance. Finally, she found her voice. "I need you to know I'm doing okay. I miss you every second of every day, and I will until the day I take my last breath. But I'm finding my way back. I'm finding little joys here and there that I know you'd want me to celebrate. Like this morning, when I opened the curtains and saw the first morning glory bloom peeking out from its bed." Sarah paused and gave a small, sad smile. "You always did love those silly little flowers." The butterfly seemed to return the smile by opening its wings in a bright flash of color. "I'm starting to heal thanks to you, baby girl. You were the strongest of us all and you led by beautiful example. I'll keep looking for signs from you, like this special visit. And I'll keep reminding Daddy of the good times, like when you let me put all those bows and ribbons in your hair that he hated so much." Sarah looked up at the ceiling and suddenly noticed dusty beams of light piercing through the rain clouds as the sun began to break through. "It's going to be a beautiful day, so I'd better let you get back to dancing." Sarah very gently kissed her finger where the butterfly stood and moved her hands to make a launch pad of sorts. The butterfly gave one more full-body pulse of acknowledgement before spreading its wings and fluttering up off Sarah's hands. It hovered in front of her face, its wings beating rapidly. "I love you, Nell," Sarah whispered, "now and forever." She closed her eyes and felt the flutter of wings against her cheek in what felt like a kiss before a soft breeze told her the butterfly was gone. Sarah opened her eyes and saw the blue butterfly gracefully flitting out the open window and up into the golden rays of sunlight filtering through the trees. "Thank you," she said out loud to the universe. With profound gratitude and fresh tears streaming down her cheeks, Sarah watched her daughter dance away,